On Saturday, Chris Rock's very extravagant stand-up program was broadcast live on Netflix and received a significant response. She talked about abortion, gender dynamics, her children Meghan Markle and, of course, being slapped on stage at last year's Oscar ceremony in the series, which can now be watched as fictionalized on the platform. The show has drawn criticism for connecting it with misogyny, between Rock's accusation that Markle complained about being a royal, and a joke that the royal family's concern about their child's skin color is not racist but just interracial relationship drama. Some of the she went through wasn't racism, it was just some father-in-law, he said. Even blacks want to know how brown the baby will be. He did agree, however, that the Windsors are the OGs of racism. Others objected to Rock's perverse jokes about abortion, which he repeatedly compared to killing children. "I believe women should have the right to kill babies," she said. "Every time I pay for an abortion, I demand a baby." Although he claims to be pro-choice thanks to unconditional love and reproductive rights for his daughters. Echoing the dangerously pervasive pro-life rhetoric didn't help cause much. During the last 10 minutes of the show, The Rock posted what seemed like a pretty long rundown about last year's Oscars. Here, you may already be aware. After The Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's baldness, Will Smith slapped her on stage. Over the past year, although Smith publicly apologized several times for his behavior, and Pinkett Smith said he hopes they will reconcile diplomatically, Rock been working out his thoughts on the incident in sets, none of which, as far as we know, happened. It involved expressing regret for making a black woman's hair the subject of a joke. Initially, Rock criticized Smith and Pinkett Smith for revealing the messy details of relationship with musician August Alsina, who is 21 years his junior and is friends with son Jaden. "I didn't have any confusion," Rock said, seeming to suggest that Smith took out his anger on his wife for cheating on him by slapping Rock at the Oscars 6 years after the relationship. "Everybody in world called her she said, citing the results from 2020 interview where Alsina confirmed she was having an affair with Pinkett Smith. "They called his wife a predator. And who is he hitting?" The Rock also claimed that Pinkett Smith started a feud with him in 2016 when Rock boycotted the Oscars hosted by him due to the lack of diversity in their nominations. Many major Hollywood figures, including Smiths, Spike Lee, and Michael Moore, boycotted the Oscars that year, largely because of white nomination list, and many celebrities publicly asked The Rock to step down. For some reason, Rock specifically targeted Pinkett Smith at the time, in his opening monologue that year. "Jada boycotting Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. And he's not done. Will Smith practices selective anger," he said, referring to the name of the Saturday Night Special. "Years ago, his wife said I should drop the Oscars because her man wasn't nominated for Concussion. And then her husband gives me a concussion." Essentially, she argued that Pinkett Smith's criticism of her 2016 hosting election justified a joke about her hair last year, and he added, "He starts. I finish. Nobody picks this." Recall that Chris Rock punched Jada for her hair loss condition. All his diversion to bring up the confusion is gaslighting. She knows the world hates a sexually mediated black woman, so she needs to make it that way. Not how it violates and humiliates her. The most Chris Rock thing all this is when he screams that you don't fight in front of whites, but doesn't even think about what it means to be a BW and joke his hair in front whites. David Dennis Jr. March 5, 2023. Misogyny comedy is when Chris Rock jokes that after being slapped for disrespecting black woman's hair whites at another event, blacks continue to call a black woman front of whites while saying she doesn't fight whites. Certainly. Ernest Owens March 5, 2023 I don't expect my other non-black women comic buddies to understand complex issues of some of the Chris Rock set. They didn't have to put up with sexism and racism issue that comes from an industry that doesn't understand you. A black woman #Grace. Lonnie Love March 5, 2023 Within an hour of the slap, Will Smith put on an extremely regretful tone that he had rarely dropped last year. And Chris Rock managed to turn it into a career-reviving feud that was based on nothing. KYYWPEABG. Sorrel Kerr-jung March 5, 2023 Needless to say, The Rock's choice to punch Pinkett Smith once again was not well received. Although he never admitted why his hair loss joke might have been seen as insensitive in the first place. 8 months earlier, she had called Rock a clever, talented man who she hoped would make things right with her husband. He called her a last weekend. Stay in touch.